Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. More of another fun-filled day of, Ukraine, Mr. Powell at the Federal Reserve, and, what else we got going on? Our strange government. It seems like they want to eliminate us more than help us. I mean, it just goes on and on. It's a very strange marketplace, that's for sure. We start off looking at the dollar versus the Swiss. And you can see there, the Swiss has been trying to move down. You can see what he did, a little odd spike last night. You see it on JForex. You see it on JForex right here. You see this little pop up on the Hinky ASCII bar. It's still in its cell. And then you can see the same thing over here on Chicago Quant right there. Nice big high spike up and then calming down again. I guess it might have been another war situation or some nervousness, flight to the dollar type of thing, or some liquidity. In the end result is the math is holding up and it's in a cell and it is down for the day. But at the same situation, when it comes to the weekly trend, they don't seem to want to back off at all. By the end of the week, if we don't see this thing starting to curve, you have to start to wonder, what's the next exciting event that we're going to see? What are they going to show us now? I guess that's the best way to look at it. So, let's check and see if we have our voice. But it definitely says to me something is brewing. Something along the line is brewing there again. When you see a spike like that, maybe it's illiquid. It could be illiquidity too, but either way, we'll just sit and watch and see, and we trade the markets and watch the math go. And
you probably
that's pretty
know
much
me
the way it always is
if
around
you know
here.
me at all.
We watch the math go. Let the math tell us in the end. So that's where we are. What else is in the news this morning that we can take we think about try to understand the market and its market action? I guess one of the big things. Oh, let me get rid of that. Can you see that? No, I don't think you do see that. Good. The screen was showing like the volume was down. One of the things, Mr. Powell all of a sudden out of nowhere says, geez, don't be surprised if we see interest rates go up a half a point next time. And it's like, sure. How many times have we heard them promise us, tightening and less quantitative easing and all the basics to bring us back to price discovery again. But instead of the price discovery we have now, we have quantitative easing. That is our price discovery. And for those that are out here at the webinar, I know that Doc's math is the price discovery. It gives you a better price discovery in the future and at the moment. But Mr. Powell came out with that one out of nowhere. I don't know what he must be seeing some data. Maybe that was part of the spike we saw where they rushed towards the dollar all of a sudden. That came out last night after the markets. And then at the same time, yesterday there was, that they came out with, where was it? There was a news thing that came out, and the next thing you know, oil went running up $7 out of nowhere. And that product has that, if I was a fund in these times trading the commodity, I guess I would be talking about the idea that the volatility in those options must be fantastic, and putting on butterflies and binaries and just all kinds of option plays probably is the best game out there in many, many ways, when it comes to capturing volatility, selling premium and buying premium too, because of the speed. I mean, that's a 7% move in a day, and that's almost like a normal day for this product at given times, which is the weird part. You see oil once in a while go up $4 or $5 or $7 or $3. That's a lot of action, a lot of beta, a lot of volatility. Anyhow, the one thing we haven't seen is that the currency seemed to calm down the pairs trades. But the one thing that is sticking out is we labeled it yesterday, and that is the war is making the euro weak. So let's jump over to the euro and see what the euro looks like. Let's see, we'll put that there. And I think I'll use the webinar mouse right there. That'll make it easier. So you can see right here, Let's see how they look on JForex, and there is the euro. And you can see it had a little spiky down, just the same way the Swiss had its little spiky up. And let's move it over here. Let's take a look at it there too. And there's the euro right there. It's firm at the moment, but we are in a sell for a second day now. There's the line there, and we're still in that weekly. You can see that the super part of the gas line 3.5, this 5 is the dashed line, and it's lifting through the time manifold. And the only thing that we would ask, one more thing to tell us that we're going to see some strength, would be to see this, the green line, make it through the minus side of the manifold here. This is the manifold, or standard deviation. I call it my non-linear time manifold because of the characteristics that it has. But in the end result is if it would pierce the negative side and start to lift up, I would think, okay, yes, we're going to start to see some strength. Then I'd be looking for a daily buy to start to kick out even before that to happen. So far, nothing. But we are quiet, and maybe it's going to... I thought when I saw that action yesterday, I thought, are they going to go down and challenge the bottom end of the range again? Seems like something like that has that characteristic, like it wants to do that. Now the question is, are they going to do that? That's another thing. And until we get a daily buy, or the echo, I guess you could say, of the prognostication. In other words, the echo of future movement is the blue line. It can really show you in a 3.5, a gas line 3.5 super, because 5 is the plot 1 of a gas line 5. That sometimes it can really show you that peaking or bottom before it seems to want to happen. You can see how it's smoothed out right here, and that's what it really is. It's a smoothing out of our mathematics. And right there you can see that it's, it starts to come down, it curves, it's starting to stall, and you can see it launches itself, and you can see that is the... Oh no, don't mean to grab that. Let's put that back. There. You can see it right there. That is... Ooh, too many bounces around there. Let's see if we can get... There we go, like that. You can see here, that is the low, and you can see the 5 smoothed right out on that and starts to show some firmness. And then, we get the daily buy, and we go, okay, maybe we'll get some pop in here. It's a very small pop, and that's because of the pressure from the overall trend of the weekly. All right, so I guess the best I can say about the euro is it has its issues, and having a war on the continent is not one of the most positive things for the currency itself. And you can see that it can't seem to get really rolling along on the upside. That weekly just drags on the downside. And look at for all, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th. Is this the 8th week? It looks like it, right? So that's right there. So 1. See the arrow? Just make sure you see the arrow. I put my tea to the left, but I haven't had a sip of it yet. I've lifted the cap off. And you can see, so that's 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, 5 week, 6 week, 7th week now. That's what it is. 7 weeks. And all of it has been underneath the time manifold. All that pressure, and you can see as the Super 5 side of it breaks down, you really get a breakdown here. So, what we're looking for is, if this will hold up, maybe this will be the echo that we're looking for. Now you can see here, right there, when we went into the weekly sell, the 5 went into a echoey move on the upside, and you can see it stalled. They fought hard here for a couple of days. They threw a daily buy in there. You can see it. You saw the volatility signal the day before, and it really fought to hold up. And then after 3 days or so, and this peak of it, of the what I would call the echo, the blue dashed line as an echo of our mathematics, it breaks down, and it starts to really show you that it's trying to break down, and then sure enough, it does break down. So, it would be nice to see a daily buy, probably a daily buy here, and this movement coming up to touch the top part of the positive time manifold would give us an indication of some real buying, but we're not seeing that up here on the daily at all. It's not happening yet. Matter of fact, the green line is breaking down, which is kind of surprising in its own right, just because of the way the echo is kicking up. But the real surprise, or the real not surprise, I guess you could say, is it's in a weekly sell. That is really the answer to everything I'm mumbling, everything I'm saying and diagnosing and trying to figure out. In the end result, it's in a weekly sell. It doesn't have the power. Longer term money, every chance they get, they find a way to sell it, not buy it. That's what the weekly is telling us, that they are trying to find ways to sell this product, not buy it. Probably the war. I mean, a hypersonic missile. Let me just bring this into the conversation. They used one of them. The Russians, it was an airborne hypersonic missile fired from one of their planes. The product can fly. It starts off flying about 3,000 miles an hour, or what's that, like 5,000 kilometers an hour. And it jumps up to, it has the potential, that particular rocket, to go all the way up to 9,000 miles an hour, or I guess that's like about 17,000 kilometers an hour. And it's not exactly the most, it doesn't change the physical battle on the, what do they call it, the battlefield? It doesn't change the nature of war itself, but what it does is it's a psychological change. It's a scare tactic more than it is a real good tool. The United States is supposedly going to deploy theirs going into 2023. I know we've been utilizing them. I've seen videos of them and research and talk about in the scientific journals. I see where they talk about you get past Mach 5, the skin on the rockets themselves start to have a molecular problem. And so that's the real challenge. Now the Chinese are kind of even further behind. Theirs are smaller and less efficient. They've introduced these things into the theater, the war theater. Or, there's a word out there I'm trying to derive out of my head. I can't remember what it is. Battlefield theater. And so they've been introducing them into the theater of potential war, but they're not the most efficient products. Also, I noticed that we went defensive about 5-6 years ago against them. We developed defenses against them. No one's talking about them, but we have a defensive equipment to deal with them. So, it's like I said, it's not, the supersonic could have some effect here. I mean, you're firing supersonics at Europe, or on the edge of Europe. And there's a battle going on the edge of Europe. So, yeah, of course, we're locked in this weekly sell. You can imagine long-term money doesn't have an interest to get long. In other words, they're not buying. They're not exactly selling much, but they're definitely not buying. And so that's probably why we see this action that we're seeing here now. The market doesn't really care for people firing rockets all over the place. I mean, that means a company could lose its building, and insurance companies have to pay more money, and in the end result, it beats up earnings. In the end result, that's what earnings is the mother milk of all investing, and until quantitative easing, that's what moved markets and stocks and currencies, was the earnings potential. Now with quantitative easing, that has been removed, or at least let's put it this way, it has become a secondary characteristic. All right, where do we go from here? Let's take a look at cable. Cable was firm yesterday, acting firm last night, and kind of impressive. Still doing it here. You can see cable's 3 days, 4 days. This is the 5th day now in a daily buy. We got our blue line here on the gas line 3.5 doing the same exact thing, trying to get through the time manifold, which it is doing, trying to deal with the zero line. And you can see that the green line is no, I don't want to do it that way. There we go. The green line is turning up. You can see that. So we're seeing that pressure right there. And then up above, someone had asked us for the was it the Bollinger Bands? That's why the Bollinger Bands are on there. And I just have a habit of just leaving them there because I find it fascinating, if nothing else. And our math, you can see how our what I call the nonlinear time manifold mirror images is a standard deviation of our math. And so because of that, it's obviously ahead of Bollinger Band. It'll bottom out earlier, like right here, and start to turn up. See that right there? Whereas Bollinger Bands were still heading down. And then at the same time, you can see, certain spots like ours tops out right here on a short-term basis. You see the product goes sideways and down, and you can see Bollinger Band is just riding up still, running late to the party, I guess you could say. And then when we turn back up again here and start to move up, you can see it takes off again and goes up again. So in other words, and the end result is we're using a standard deviation also with our math, and we left them instead of the golden lines, we leave them as a blue and a green and a red, just as an example of the leading characteristic of our math versus all other maths. I guess that's the best way to describe it. All right, where do we go from here? Let's take a look at Turkish lira. Let's put it. We'll go to the dollar side of it first, which we don't find that exciting anymore, because we really have locked in on the euro Turkish lira. And there it is right there. There's the dollar Turkish lira. See it banging against the top of that rectangular box I've been playing with for months now. And then let's go over to JForex and put it in there. There's the mouse right there. Oh, one other thing. Let's just throw the cable up there for a second so you can see what it's doing in the JForex. See, it's skyrocketing. 5 there too. Just like we were 5 days in green dots. Bottoming off the bottom. Again, using some characteristics from my mathematics, it makes this JForex chart a very good leading indicator in the public arena. All right, and from there we go take a look at euro Turkish lira. Right there. And you can see the strength of it there. 4 days of green. The white line moving back up again for the last few days. Heading towards the top end of the range. You see all that strength kicking out there. And then, right there, euro Turkish lira right there. There we go. And you can see there, it has not challenged. Let's tighten that up. It has not challenged the rectangle, the top of it. Got close, but it's not challenged it. We've developed that the range. We looked at the range of what I thought would be the new range. That's what the rectangle represents, is the new range of the product. And now we are banging against the top. We actually have a range. We can actually say, they've stabilized the currency by giving out free puts for people who purchase Turkish lira. So the range has actually started to establish itself, whereas before it was just like, Katie bar to door, and this thing was just a mad animal just running up, losing, going from 1 and change to 21 and change. So, hey Robin, what's happening on the fence? You hear, let's see, you're here, so ask your question. Who's hanging on the fence? Okay, so you're saying that people are out there, but they're not asking questions. Well, what's today, Tuesday? People are still probably getting used to the idea of the weekend. You can tell Robin's fired up this morning. That's it. Crack that whip, Robin. Crack that whip. So, where were we at there? And so then, what do we got there? We got the Turkish lira is doing that bouncy thing, playing with the rectangular range that we think we've spotted, and we'll see how well it treats it. You can see on the dollar it played the top end of it. It's still up at the very top of it, but it's stalled out, just like normally the way most of our identifications of ranges are. They run up to them, they stop, and they come back down. And then we can, as time goes on, maybe we'll put a Fibonacci sequence in the middle of this, which will be really nice. Because I'll tell you, this poor currency, when you have a currency that goes, can you imagine the euro all of a sudden, it's like the ruble, things, just on a mad tear, rubles. I remember when rubles were 5 to the dollar and 4 to the dollar, and then they became 30. Wow, That's a really tough thing for a country to deal with, having their currency, just run like a mad animal like that. It generates incredible amounts of inflation. It stalls out investment. It just stalls out the economy. It stalls a lot of these important things to make a country and their economy function better, and make the population happier. Not as much risk. That type of thing. So let's see, what do we got here? Right there. So that's the Turkish lira. Now we'll drift over to the Canadian. Let's see what the Canadian is up to. Right there. The Canadian, following in the the oil footstep for a change. Ever since the oil has gone mad and wild, the Canadian has not exactly been following its normal pattern of locking into, when the oil is going, the Canadian dollar gain in value against the American dollar. Hey PM, how you doing? And so now all of a sudden we're starting to see the change in that. So, which is kind of a neat thing there. But I mean, we're really, maybe that'll tell us when things are getting normal. Maybe the wars will start to die down. Let's see what PM has to say. Hi to you, PM. Can I please have the specs of your indicator on the JForex? Most definitely. Yeah, I'll click on it, and in this way, at the same time, you'll be able to go back and look at it on the video when they post the video, and you can park that video to the side and check it out. So here is, let's see, what do we do? There's the specs in the slow, and let's do that. Edit indicator. So there's the specs of the slow. And you know what I want to do? I just want to look at one thing. I'm going to go on another computer. I have the computer I used to use for the webinars. Let's open that up too. And I noticed that it's smoothed. I came up with something. I smoothed it a little bit more and it's in there. You can basically experiment. But at the same time, you'll have a video of what the original is. So you experiment on a chart, and I'm opening up the other one to see if I can spot what I smoothed it with, because I haven't had time to really look. I mean, I've just been that busy. Because the other one that has the JForex is definitely much more smooth. There's no doubt about it. I'm opening it now. I'm going to follow through the same process so we can see both. Let's see. Alright, got it open. Let's go to, what is that? That is Canadian, so let me put Canadian up there too. Where are you, CAD? Dollar CAD. Where are you? There it is. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I see. It's over here. So let's do it this way then. Let's put dollar CAD there. Now I see it. Okay, so there's dollar CAD on the other machine. Now, I've been wondering, that's why I haven't sent Janos the email where they're going to put they're going to label it as the Manhattan indicators, and they're going to, at the same time, plug in what we have plugged in up there. So you'll actually be able to hit a button. It'll say the Manhattan indicators and be able to see that. All right, so there's that. And then, let's see. All right, so I've got that on the daily. Now let me do the same thing. Let me just click on the other machine and look at the slow edit indicator. So it's an SMA line. It's a 3. It's a 3.5. Let me check something here. Okay, so that's all the same. Okay, so that's the slow. That's the yellow dashed line. Let me just look at outputs and so forth. Here's your output right there. Let me go over here for the output. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay. And then let's see what levels. Levels seem fine. Okay. Advanced. Show indicator on all periods. Let's see what advanced says there. Yep, same thing. Okay. So that's the slow. Now let's go look at the fast. Edit indicator. Alright. Let's move that over a little bit like that. Alright, let's take a look at that. Alright, so it's 5 and 3. That's good. Let's go to outputs. That's a 1. Oh, okay. That is a 3 on the outputs. That's what it is. That smooths it out more. Okay. Levels. Nothing. Advanced. Show indicator. Okay. Okay. And what's that at? That's at, what is that? That's at 9. What's curious is my other one is at 6. And that's a little confusing why it's like that. Let me see, wait. There must be another indication I must have put in there somehow, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. But that is what it is. So that's this, and then the hinky ASCII edit. And there's your input. Let's see. The input is just that. It doesn't have anything there. The output is that. Let me just double check my output. Actually, I don't have a hinky ASCII on this. Huh. Okay. And then there's the hinky ASCII right there. Okay. So then the advance, none. You just do this again on this machine. Okay. All right, so there it is right there. And that's the tools right there. You can see it's trying to turn here. And what is that? That's Canadian, right? Do we have Canadian up on the other machine? Let me see what no, we have Turkish lira. So let's get Canadian up on the Chicago quant. There it is right there. Okay. Oh yeah, it's there. See, it's trying to turn up here, right there, the daily, and that's what this is the daily. And then you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red dots. And this says 5 red bars. Right there. How's that? Does it look good, all good? Did that help out? Click on the eye. Which one's the eye? Where's the eye at on this? The eye. Which one of these is an eye? Huh. I don't see the eye. You mean like that? No. Well, let me know if that made sense. This way you can go back and look at the. You can look at it in the video too. You know, when Janos posts it as a video. You can go from there. All right, from there. So the Canadian, when we look at the Canadian, we look at, let's see, when you mouse over the indicator. Okay, let's do that. When I mouse over the indicator, I see it right there. Is that the eye? Show, top left. Okay, and what do? I click on that. There we go. Okay. I see. Instead of the way I did it. So the white is the slow. I'm sorry. The golden is the slow. The dashed is the slow, and the fast is the 5-3 white line. How's that? Is that all right? Or should I right? I right-clicked it. There you go. Yeah, I do the same thing when I go like that. I just right-click on it. It does the same thing. Doesn't it? Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's the same thing. How's that? Did you get everything you need out of that? And like I said, you'll be able to tune that into the tune in on the replay by Janos. There we are. All right. From there, and there is oil. You can see here they had popped it yesterday pretty strongly. It's starting to back off a little bit right now. That's May oil. It's a spot. Yeah, the weekly doesn't want to give up at all. I mean, what did it do? We talked about this here where it did the little curve and it just started to just take off again. It does not want to give up. And I want to believe, I really do, I want to believe in peace and harmony and unicorns, the whole bit. When you get, and hope this is the A, this is a B, and then there's a C. It brings us down into this area again here. Like to see cheaper oil. Oh, good. Okay, PM, I'm glad. And it's a good question too. Let's see from there. Now that's one good question. Now you got 11 more to go because remember it's cheaper by the dozen. We charge the same for one as we do for 12. 12 questions. All right. So let's see. We've got the oil there, so you can see that pressure is on. And they've pushed it up again. So, and I guess we talked about this. The 93 was kind of like the low, so we figured that from 130. I think that was 131 really. So 93 to 131 is what's that? 7. It's like 38, and you break that into threes. You Fibonacci it, and the 50 percentile would be 18. So we figured that it would bounce to like 111, 112. What's today's high? 113.96. So it got up into that area and stalled out, and now we're at 109, almost 110. So it's a halfway back. All right, now we go over and take a look at gold. And gold, you can see it was flirting this morning when it first started off up, and there was no red dot. Now we are at the point where there's a red dot, and it's still above the time manifold, but we have to move that over like that. If it's going to be, if it closes there like that, that's it's still not into the buy. There's pressure on it, and at the same time, you can see the weekly is not happy either. Doing the same thing here. Lots of weakness in the. All right. So that's the two. We look at these two, and then what we do is we look at the gold, and we look at South African Rand, the pairs trade, dollar Rand pairs trade. Right there. And you can see it. The pressure has been on the downside with gold going up in value. But of late, you can see here, gold has backed off from their highs. From that, was that basically 20,078, heading for 2100, and now it's kind of bouncing around in the 19s, so it's dropped $150. since the world has gotten more calm, or I guess comfortable, not calm, comfortable with the war in Ukraine. I'm sure it's very uncomfortable for a lot of people, but the financial markets are getting calmer from it for the moment. All right. And so that's where we go, and we start looking at the South African rand. You can see that there, and then we let's see what they're doing on JForex. Or not, there it is, right there on JForex. You can see the white line is above. It's trying to lift, but it's not doing too good a job. It's heading down. Let's take a look at it here. There you go, there. So we're still heading down. We're in that long weekly march. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 14 weeks in a weekly sell since almost the 116 area. Nice tight market actually. The currencies, you really have to, compared to watching some of these currency pairs that have had some real issues, this is pretty stable. And we're at the lows of maybe, I think we've looked at this before. We're at like 9-month lows, or I think it's even more than that. It's like, let's tighten this up. Let's put it up the whole screen. Yeah, we haven't seen this since last year, November of last year. So what's that? 5 months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 months. 5-month lows. All right. From there, we go over to the magical ruble. Let's see what Mr. and Mrs. Ruble is doing this morning. Down a little bit from yesterday, playing with the daily sell. We are in a weekly sell from last week. Let's get rid of that and put the line in there. We'll go hunt down another one. There must be a yellow line, pink line somewhere. You know what? I'll just make one. So I went into the weekly sell last week. So you see here, we went into the weekly sell on the close of Friday. I mean, it was somewhere in here it went into the sell, but officially it was confirmed on Friday. He said he popped it on Monday and closed it down for the day, and now it's dropping again. Maybe they're going to come up with something to resolve this war situation. It would be really nice. I'd rather make love and trade instead of have war. I've got a second, then, please. Oh, sure. If a second, then you got 10 more after that. All right. It's regarding the institutional money flows. Do you know if it would be included in the same volume data we see as in bid-ask volume? Well, I think institutional money flows, they look at the open interest. So and they do look at the volume at the same time, but they're two different creatures. Okay, so imagine you are Fund A, and Fund A just bought 1,000 contracts in oil. So that's opening. Okay, now let's say Fund A bought them to close because they were short them first. Then the open interest disappears. It closes out. Okay, but if it's initially opening up a position, then it opens and it increases open interest, and then depending on who sold them to Fund A, who is buying them, they could be open or closing also. So when the CFTC puts out their what do they call it, institutional money flows and things like that, they're looking at it if it's opening or closing, initiating a new position or closing out an old position. So in other words, you bought a contract and you were not short it. You bought it to go long, not to buy at the close. And so by doing that, if you buy at the close, you're reducing open interest. And if you are doing it to open, you're increasing open interest. and that's what they're following. They're following that. Does that make sense, Robin? You still around? You listening? Robin has a way of following open interest, and he would walk in on the trading floor in the mornings. He'd say something like, "Too many fish in the net." That's because they actually had a flyer or a cheat sheet that they put out every day from overnight to show you what open interest was and so forth on the exchange floor as you walk through the door. The membership side, not just walking into the building, but going onto the trading floor. They'd have sheets, showing you open interest and so forth. So, and he used to refer to it as too many fish in the net or not enough fish in the net. Yeah. So that's what they're chasing. They're looking at the volume and if it's opening or closing. Does that make sense, PM? Let's see if Robin might be doing something. He tunes in and then sometimes he gets pulled away from it all. All right. When he resurfaces, we'll ask him the question. But that's how that works. And he has a parameter. He looks at the parameter and looks at, in other words, the open interest and the volume and says, okay, should it be going down or going up? All right. From there, let's see what they're doing with ruble here. If Europe is starting to trade this thing. There it is right there. Now see the temporary unavailable still. Alright, and then from there let's go over to the yen. Right there. And yen's going after, we've talked about this, we thought it was was going to run at least to the 118s. Now we're up to 121. So they are buying dollars, selling yen. There's more yen to a dollar now, which is inflationary. Right there. Now, we've been in a weekly buy since the low here. We even wrote an article on that one. I can actually say that. We wrote an article about this thing taking off because it was going into the weekly buy and we were going into the daily buy, and we'd gone 3 times. We'd played with the 5-year highs, and I kept on saying, well, if it breaks that, I guess that's going to be 3rd time's the charm and it'll take off. And got the daily buy going on, and we got this, and I think I was watching the echo of the 5, the where's it at? It's right there. Let me just emphasize the blue line a little bit thicker or something like that. Now I was looking at the echo. Make it solid for a second there. There you go. I was looking at the blue line and thinking, okay, look at that thing. They're both going through the time manifold at the same time. I thought, man, they are really going to make a pop out of it, and sure have, haven't they? They've gone from 115 up to 120 and change, almost 121. So that's been that was a good signal there. Oh, there's PM again. There is an indicator in the Forex called Ask Bid Volumes. It has values and a positive and negative. Shows when more shorts or longs are on. I have been using that. Yeah, well, that makes sense. They're looking at the open interest, and there's, I guess, what happens when open interest drops? I guess they're selling it, and when open interest rises, I guess they're buying it, right? Is that how that works usually? That makes sense. I think that's a good indicator. Matter of fact, that type of thing. So, and I bet I could get something like that on the screen here, on my proprietary. I bet there's I'll look at it after the webinar, and see if I can find something like that. And I'll look on the JForex and see. Matter of fact, maybe you can talk me through. I'll put it on the JForex now. There's an indicator in the JForex called Ask Bid Volumes. Okay, let's take a look and see. Let's make this big like that. Ask Bid Volumes. Where would I go? Right here? Let's see. Or where's it? It starts off. Right there. There we go. Okay, so indicator. Add an indicator. And what's it called? Let me go read it again. Ask bid volumes. Is it probably in, oh, alphabetically? Let's try that. Ask, what was it again? Ask bid volume. Would it be in the A's? Click on volume indicator. Oh, okay. Which one's volume indicator? I don't usually watch volume. So, I mean, it's not that I have something against it. I just never seem to pay attention to it ever since options. Because if I can't see the option volume, I'm usually not really paying attention to things. I need to see both the underlining. But that's all right. So if I go like, add an indicator. Recent indicators, add an indicator, volume indicator, there we go. There it is right there. Add. Cool. Okay, there you go. So, let's see how it acts following our stochastic. There it is. So white line pierces through, and let's see, and you can see, so that's a bullish sign right there, like that, and we got a green hinky, and then it takes off and makes a, look at that nice big high right there off of that one, and then it backs off. You can see our work backing off. Now notice how it was going down and the value was rising. Yeah, so like right there it was heading down and this was rising at the same time. I wonder if I have one over here. Let's see, add an indicator. Let's see, indicators. Add an indicator. The colors rebalance. Volume ratio. Let's add that, just see what happens. It's going to come in on the bottom. There it is right there. I can't tell. Style. That's a line. Let's see. Let's make that a histogram. Scaling to like that. Image size, screen. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll play with it after the webinar on this one, but at least we have it up on JForex. So let's see, is that the color reference in the imbalance? Okay, okay, so there's, oh, I see it now. I see it's green. Okay, so here we were selling down. I see the greens down there. I see it. It's green, 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 green. That's not giving me any indications though. How does that look? Does mine look any good? Is it working? Oh yeah, yeah. It didn't show anything on mine. Here, let me just show you. It's down here now. And let's see, format indicator. See, there's bid ask volume ratio. So let's fix that. See if I can fix that. Fix that. Let's see, style. So Let's make them lines, see what happens. Make them both lines. Make them thick. Let's see. Inputs. I don't see the other side of it. Okay, close. There it is there at the bottom. It's just a big long line. Oh, no, that's my stuff. Yeah, I don't. Is there a red there starting to form? Right at the end? Wonder if we could make the other one. How about if we made the green seems to be so predominant. What if we turn that into something else? Like a histogram or a point or a cross or something. There. Okay, there's something. I put it in as a cross. Now over here on JForex, like there. Okay, so it was red all the way up. I guess we have to reverse that. And then it goes green there. There we are. I guess I could try to make the, let's see, edit indicator. Let's see, bullish volume, bearish volume, total volume. Maybe we can make it bigger. Okay, now we've ended up generating two of them. Huh. So, I guess I have to play around with that, but at least I have it in, you know? And I could try to find some time and play with it, see what we can come up with. I'd imagine, you know, the whole idea of tools, you know, is a trader experiments and does research on a particular tool. Other people may not be using it. But in the end result is it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that you've discovered something more than somebody else has. So, you know, don't be turned off because we don't really pay attention to volume and open interest. It's a good tool. Like I said, Robin does. He pays attention to it. I've just, you know, I've just been using my math over years, and I haven't seen volume be that influential. You know, because I don't trust volume, but I do trust open interest. So, you know, when it comes to volume, when volume runs up in options, it's much more insightful. In other ways, it's not, because you don't know. Someone could be buying, you know, a lot of calls or doing some type of binary stuff and then selling a lot of underlying asset against it. So it doesn't always mean. Ever since the creation of options, when someone buys something, doesn't mean you're getting long or closing a short anymore. It means it's totally different now. So because, you know, I remember, I'll give you a good example of a commodities guy. When I worked in Connecticut, Peter, was it Tudor? What's his name? Tudor Jones? Or Jones? I don't know. I forget his name now. But he executed out of our office. And, you know, they'd go, oh, he just bought 5,000, like, you know, gold contracts or, you know, oil contracts. And he bought, like, you know, 7,000 puts. And then you would be watching the news, and the news would say, today, Paul Tudor Jones, you know, bought, you know, 5,000 contracts and whatever it was. And they never mention the options. But he puts a straddle on by doing that. You know, if you're buying puts, buying the futures contract and buying puts, that's a straddle. So, you know, that always turned me off. Now, if I'm seeing all of it, I'm very happy with it, and I think you're totally right. But when I'm not seeing all of it, I get a little leery and I steer clear of it. That's what I'm saying. Nothing more than that. So if you're seeing if you got it fine tuned and you're, seeing success in it, keep on going. I'll play around with it and see if I can put it up on some other stuff and do some research on it. Get it to be a little bit more visual. So, but thanks for giving us a heads up on it. I'm glad to look at it. Bid ask. Matter of fact, we may even label J4. Call this today like JForex indicators, and as the title of it. And we might actually include this. Call it the Ask Bid volume or something like that. So it's a good conversation. It's a good There's a lot to be said about open interest and volume. There's a lot to be said about it and how it's used. Robin uses it very well. There we are. Indicators. Oh, here. So, well, traders, we will catch you all tomorrow. I will play around with this volume and bid and ask stuff and see if we can come up with something on it. So this is Doc from North America saying arrivederci. Everybody towards Ukraine, keep your head down. Be safe. Do your best. I know you're in a tough situation, and our hearts and souls are with you. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. All right, traders. See you later.